Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews, and right now we're going to cover some of the new season of BoJack Horseman. It's season 5. We're going to talk about the first 6 episodes. I didn't feel like binging through the whole thing. It's been a long day. So I watched some of them this morning, and I just finished episode 6 right now. So there are spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it. But first, let's just talk about the first so far. This show just keeps getting better. If I go back and watch season 1, it is such a different show. The characters evolve, sort of. I kind of think BoJack reminds me a lot of like Hank Moody from Californication, where he knows what he needs to do to get better, but he kind of just can't ever quite get to where he needs to be. And so by the end of like Californication, he's basically the same motherfucker, and it kind of ends disappointingly. But with a cartoon, you know, you can kind of be a little more forgiving, because I don't know if like really wrapping things up is kind of meant to happen. It'd be nice if this character in the end, when it's over at some point, would get some sort of resolution. But he does remind me quite a bit of David Duchovny's character on that show, where he just kind of keeps on just doing saying that he knows what he needs to do, and then somehow fucks it all up. But it's the writing on here that is way far superior than anything on Californication, to be honest with you. And each season, they try to do some relevant things, and it's pretty damn relevant this season, especially the first 6 episodes, especially the first couple or 2 or 3 episodes. Because the show has gotten, like, it's funny, but the topical nature of it that's gotten around with the whole Me Too and the sexual harassment stuff, and just Hollywood in general, and celebrity culture and celebrity worship, and just how celebrities behave, is really brought up in this quite a bit. The whole culture in Hollywood is really kind of mocked. And has a kind of a mirror put up against it that has been in other seasons. It's not something new, but what they talk about in here, is highly influenced by current, things going on. Again, the acting is really good. Rami Malek on the show is pretty good. Will, as Flip, the new showrunner for this show called Filbert that BoJack's on. The show is just terrible, and this guy, he's like just doing all the things that this show kind of represents, all the things that are kind of wrong with Hollywood right now. A lot of the things anyway, from just the way the women are treated, what they're expected, what's expected of women in Hollywood. And how the guys are just kind of they're given passes, and even if they get in trouble, like one of the other episodes. Well, let's just, before I start just getting all over the place, let's start with the light bulb scene. It's episode 1, where BoJack, he doesn't have the balls to call out this guy, on the problems that he has with the show. And it's something that you see a lot of in Hollywood stuff, is that the actual actors and people, nobody wants to actually say what's wrong. Nobody will actually say they have a problem, and it's kind of relevant because of the culture in Hollywood, where people just don't say things. Nobody wants to be the troublemaker, if they want you black, afraid they're going to get blacklisted or not get jobs, people won't want to work with them, they don't want to rock the boat, they don't want to get other people in trouble. And I feel like that's one of the things that that's kind of blowing up in Hollywood's face now, is the whole staying silent. Now, not all of this is like some sort of like conspiracy thing, like what I'm talking about, but like when you can't even tell the producer, the guy who created the show, that you have problems because you're too much of a coward. It just shows the cowardice in Hollywood. And the fact that all these people that are making this show are all pretty famous Hollywood people, it's kind of like admitting to themselves almost that, yeah, this is how it is. This is how we are, And one of the things that I hope comes with people watching this show is maybe a decrease in celebrity worship. It's, and this whole celebrity culture needs to get taken down quite a few notches, because these people are just as bad as anybody else can, at times. And that's, even one of the parts that, this is going to be, I don't want this taken the wrong way, but the actress that plays opposite BoJack, that she, he just meets her, and the next scene, they've had sex, and they start having this like sexual relationship that means nothing, but it's kind of like this almost like expected, this is just how it is in Hollywood. And that she just kind of like, oh, well, I just do these nude scenes because, I need a job. I don't like them, but I do them, and and it just kind of feels like when everybody just keeps going along with things, how can you ever, get any real change? I don't want to turn this review into like a political statement or anything, not political, but just statements about what's been going on. But it's really hard not to, because it's really blatant in these first few episodes. But I do like, like they try to turn it around where BoJack has to do a nude scene. And he himself is too, like he won't say he won't do it. Like, I don't know, but he, he ends up doing it, and he's like, oh, no big deal. And they balance the humor in this really well with being kind of uncomfortable. And it should be uncomfortable. So, anyway, let's go to Dog Days Are Over. I know I'm not talking tons about these, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. This one kind of deals with Diane divorcing Mr. Peanut Butter, and she goes to Vietnam. And I like the whole thing with her like little travel log that she's doing about, the 10 reasons to, all this, and it's just how it kind of like all the things that she's discovering as she's going over there. It's basically kind of like you can't run away from your problems, like, and as the story unfolds, kind of like as we see what led her to going to Vietnam in the first place, and and just her relationship with Mr. Peanut Butter. I like that. Even though this is like so fucking ridiculous that she's married to a goddamn dog, and now getting divorced from him, and this world that it's all so normal, the way that they can still make it so that it's relatable and not too goofy, where, like, even though a lot of the, the animal characters have these character traits like animals that are like half people, half animal, and it should be a completely ridiculous situation, but they somehow make it to where you can understand it on a real life level. The third episode, Planned Obsolescence. This one's pretty funny, because what we've had with Todd in this so far is he instantly becomes like the head of this website channel that's making that show Filbert. What do they call it? Oh man, dang it, it was in here. What time is it? Like .com or something like that, where he instantly becomes like the executive of this show. And Todd, his whole asexuality is still a big part of this season. And the girl that he's with, they do this whole episode, well, his part of the episode anyway, is meeting her parents, that she's asexual, Todd's asexual, but her family all comes from like the sex background. So like her dad's, her mom's like a porn star, the sisters, let's just say they all have deep backgrounds in sexuality, and they're trying to, it's very sitcom-y, like who's gonna knock on the wrong door, who's gonna go in the wrong door, and it ends up with this whole like thing with a big bottle of lubricant, and it's all really silly, but it's done in such a way that like they're talking about a topic that's important to some people, like with asexuality and being able to talk to your family, and then they but it's still done in this like very slapstick, very 1980s sitcom way. I love how this show has all these kind of elements that really make it stand out than from other shows on Netflix or just animated shows in general. In this, we also have Mr. Peanut Butter. He's romancing that waitress called Pickles, which Pickles is great. She's just this little, like, what's that, the little dog-looking thing from Men in Black. I don't know what they are, like little pug dog or whatever. She's great. let's see, Gina confesses a childhood. Oh, yeah, you got the childhood dream with Gina, the girl from the show that's like wanted to do a musical. That kind of blows up in her face, but it's pretty funny. BoJack The Feminist, episode 4. So this is where they get that guy played by Bobby Cannavale, who I love Bobby Cannavale, who is kind of like that Mel Gibson type actor that gets shamed. You know, every time he gets in trouble, people end up forgiving him eventually, and then he just keeps showing how bad he really is. Like he just keeps getting into trouble. Well, time goes by, we forgive him because he's a man. I mean, and everything just keeps getting worse and worse. And I love that he's like ends up on like being interviewed and like, why did I do this show? Like, I'm clearly guilty. Why do people keep giving me chances? And it does show that whole thing. You know, we're in this day and age where people are losing their jobs, losing their careers, losing their shows. But then eventually, you know, some people, and it hasn't really happened on any level yet, but like people like Mel Gibson, when he went on his tirade, you know, he's been able to come back and he's been in movies and he's directed movies. He's directed, you know, award-nominated movies. He's gotten people to work with him again. So, I mean, it's like kind of like just a matter of time then, right? For all the rest of these people that now, that have been involved in a lot of this sexual harassment stuff. When will they start being forgiven and blah, blah, blah? And when will we, you know, people just kind of go back to the way things were? And should we? Again, giving some really excellent commentary with some like really genuine laughs, because, you know, even though you got like the little side thing with Mr. Peanut Butter trying to toughen up his image, but you also got BoJack, you know, kind of accidentally becoming like this poster boy for feminism a little bit too. And just all the trickiness that goes along with that. It's just, again, really hilarious. Another really kind of emotional episode we had with episode 5, the Amelia Earhart story, this dealing with Princess Caroline, where she's been trying to get a baby for a while, desperate to do it. And again, it's showing this side of this character who spends so much time bullshitting her clients, trying to solve their problems, blah, 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 but she can't really even solve her own life. And so she's down in like, what was it, North Carolina or something, to meet this girl who potentially will give her a baby. And over the course of the time that she spends with her, realizing that, you know, when she says, you know, I just want to give her a better life, you know, kind of insulting this girl, like, well, just because your life, you know, you're rich and everything, well, you're looking down on me, you know, just because we're poor, or maybe you consider us white trash. You know, who are you to say that, you know, the kid would have a better life with you? And in the flashbacks, we get to see what happened to Princess Caroline, how she ended up, you know, in the situation that she is now, where she, you know, regrets not having kids, that kind of situation. And it's done, again, really well. I love the side stuff with all the people that, you know, depend on her, that can't solve their own problems. Again, with just everybody calling her because they're just too weak and too cowardly to stand up for themselves and to, you know, to solve their own problems. They've got this one person that solves their own problems for them, and it's just kind of funny that just a continuing run throughout the show. Again, talking about Hollywood, these people can't even solve their own problems. They can't even tell somebody that they don't want to do a stunt, you know. It's just hilarious. And now we get to the last episode, the 6th episode, last one I'm going to talk about, Free Churros. And this one is like freaking a standout. They always do like 1 or 2 episodes a season that just really stand out. And that's this one so far, where it's just BoJack giving a eulogy for his mother. It is just him talking for half an hour straight. And it's one of the best voice performances I've ever seen. And it's one of the best written episodes. It's so so earnest and funny and heartfelt and tragic, and just has all these moments in it that you don't get on anything, on any cartoon. Rick and Morty has had some kind of emotional moments, but nothing like this, where it just carries through, you know, it just starts and ends in this really emotional way that, you know, I hope this, you know, this is an Emmy nominated, this should be an Emmy nominated episode. This should be an Emmy nominated for performance, for voice acting, if they even did. I don't think they do that, but like, if this was an acting job, Will Arnett would definitely get like a nomination for something. He would have to. And this is a brilliantly written show, showing like, you know, what we, you know, how you talk about your parents as they've passed, and that need and longing that you never got from a parent, parents in his case, that just never were there for him, that always treated him like a burden. And, you know, even when he can get his shots in at a funeral, he's still looking. He's still that little kid who's looking for approval from his parents, and now he'll never get it. I love the whole thing about, you know, just seeing when she says, "I see you," and all the different ways that he analyzes that, like, "I see you." I love that part. That was just so great about how we put importance on things that maybe have no importance at all. And it was just such a brilliantly written episode. You know, I had a feeling when I read the description of it that it would be this good. And even if there is that joke at the end that just kind of, it's like a punch in the gut, where you realize he's not even at the right funeral. He's talking to a bunch of lizards. He should have figured that out right away. He doesn't, you know, check the coffin until the last second, and realizes he's said all this important stuff to the wrong group of people, to the wrong corpse. Yes, he got it off his chest, but I mean, now, like, you'd probably think that even though they're not going to show us, when he does find the right thing, it's probably going to be something more simple, like, yeah, my mom is gone and she was blah, 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 and it's going to be short and sweet, and no one will have known that he expressed himself in such a way. And again, that's a lot of BoJack Horseman, that, you know, he's always figuring things out, and saying things that should be like, you know, kind of a what do you call it, like epiphanies that you have that, you know, aren't witnessed by anyone. You know, a lot of his moments, I feel, come in his moments of solitude where no one's around to see him kind of have some self-actualization. So that's it for the first 6 episodes. I know I didn't get into too much detail about all of them, but it's really damn good. I can't wait to finish watching the last 6. I'm not going to have a review up for that, though, probably until maybe late tomorrow, maybe early Sunday. So anyway, if you liked this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications for my videos. Thank you very much for watching this if you've chosen to watch this. I want to thank everybody that on my channel. I haven't said this in a little while, but thank you all so much for all the support that you guys give me. We're like at 271 subscribers. We have grown like over 50 subscribers in like a month. So I just want to thank everybody. So make sure to check out the second part of this video when it comes up in the next day or so. And this is Rob for Smirking Gun saying have a great night. Bye.